Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the little bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news and new video like today, you'll be the first one getting all the notifications. So make sure you have that little bell ticked. Alright, today's video I would like to discuss, as the topic says, visa refusals, and refusals. Well, it's not a very pleasant word. As predominantly people applying for visa, they don't want to see their visa being refused or cancelled. It's a very bad feeling and impact the whole family as well. But why are we talking about this? Now, the reason why is I'm here to actually assist you, to help you to avoid those traps that you potentially could get your visa refused. Of course, that's the game, that's the topic. Now, you probably have seen this kind of documents. Either it's going to be a visa grant or a visa refuse. It looks similar, but only the topic will be different. It says here, look at this, notification refusal application student subclass 500 visa. Now, reason I'm picking student visa is, well, a lot of people think student visa is quite easy, isn't it? We're just paying for a tuition fee, find a school where they could issue a valid confirmation enrollment in order to apply visa. I should get a visa, correct? No, that's not really the answer. Now, I cannot say correct and I cannot say incorrect. It's the right process. But simply finding an institution or education provider could actually guarantee your visa application? Nah, not really. Let's look at some stats. Now, I found this website from immigration itself. You may want to go into a visa statistic and have a good study of it, but obviously, general public, you and I, why would I wanted to go and look at these numbers? Doesn't make any sense to me anyhow. But anyway, I'm here to actually explain what it actually meant. Now, I've clicked into the first document, which is most relevant and most recent documents, and let's go into the page where it says lodged. So the lodge means visa has been successfully lodged by the visa applicant, so they came from everywhere around the world. Okay, so let's have a look at the down here from 2016 until most recently 2020 and 21. Now, the total, obviously the recent year the number has dropped, but well, obviously due to pandemic. But let's have a look. That's the total for every year. So 374,000, 413,000, 473,000, 395,000, and 262,000 for the total year of each of those financial year. Now, that's great. That shows there are still a lot of people interested to come to Australia to study. But let's have a look. How many actually got granted, right? So then we will find out how many actually get refused. Let's have a look at this one. Now, this page is granted page, means they're lodged. Now, obviously, they get granted. So how many actually get granted? Let's have a look at the total. 343,000, 378, 405,000, 340,000, 232,750 in the most recent year. So wow, it's all a lot. But let's do some calculation in math, right? So if we match this one, so in the most recent year, 260,000 was lodged and only 232,000 were granted. That's about 30,000 not being granted. So what happened to them? Well, pretty obvious. Refused. Now, what about the year before? So the year before, lodged 395,000 and only 340,000 was granted. That's crazy. That's 55,000 refused. Now, the year prior to that, 473,415 lodged. How many granted? 405. That's almost 70,000 refused. Now, that's what I'm talking about. That's how serious this is. I mean, obviously, the 2021, there's least number of people because the pandemic and the travel control, international travel restrictions. So the lodgement of visa obviously is low. But you still can see there's a huge number, even the year before and the year prior to last year as well. There's a lot of refusal. Now, what happened to these refusals? Now, I can tell you from our experience, and we have seen so many, just like the one that I have just shown. Basically, these refusals are focused predominantly, I would say 70% plus, probably more. They're all those certificate and diploma courses, and they were issued by a lot of private educations. Now, I'm not saying private education is no good, but in the recent years, there has been so many private educations. They provide, you may heard of this, internal English testing, so you don't need to do IELTS, you don't need to do PTE, you don't need to do anything like that. They will approve you straight away, and it's internal tests. It's no cost, and it's easy. Okay, sometimes they do provide answers too. Now, the other key here is that they also provide a lot of tuition installments. Now, there's nothing wrong commercially to break a tuition fee into a lot of installments. But see, the problem here is that it actually encourages international students to come on board into Australia without the enough money that they should have, so they can pay an installment, by means encouraging these students to go out and work. Now, this is the key that how immigration had identified the problem areas where a lot of institutions are actually encouraging that. Not saying Australian government is not giving you the right and permit to work, but if it's being encouraged rather than academically encouraging the student to actually perform academically, that is actually the wrong way around. So that's another key that you should be looking at. And the third one is that cheap tuition. Now, some courses, not just cheap, not just installment loan, they are very extremely cheap in compared to a lot of general courses. Sometimes when you do the math, it doesn't stack it up. How would these schools survive? Well, that's another key point here. And those institutions are generally in a private sector, not public. Public usually they don't have much problem. But I'm not saying that choosing a public institution that you automatically get a grant as well, or choosing a private will actually get cancelled all the time. I mean, there are a lot of applicants or mine picking up, for example, Blue Mountain. And also the blue courses for the cookery courses, right? TAFE, for example, and the success rate is much higher. Obviously, you don't want to see those kind of refusals going on, and also there are, I know around the world there are people providing fraudulent document to assist a student to actually lodge those visas as well. So again, coming back to what we are saying now, obviously you lodging a visa seems to be simple. A student visa, how complex could it be? Just find an institution, find an education agency, and find a cheap course, and find a course or institution allow you to pay in a lot of installments, so I don't have to prepare a lot of cash and money, which is great. It's like backpackers, right? Commercially sound. But it's actually triggers to a point where the immigration, by their law, it doesn't deem to be the right international student that the government of Australia wants. Now, let's go into another detail which I have been talked about and discussed in this channel for many times. It's about the general temporary entry requirement. I'm not going to go through the whole detail here, as I have done so in my previous video, but let's scroll down to the very end. Okay, very end, it says what? Your immigration history, Wow, great. Okay, so what does that got to do with me? Now, detail says here, as I read, we consider previous visa application for Australia or other countries. Remember, we had just gone through the Novak Djokovic cases. What happened at the end? How did they actually reject him? Because the immigration of Australia actually had considered the other countries' visa application. What did Djokovic? What did he do? He traveled to Spain and declared misleading information. I think that was how the court have found, and that's what happened. And this law, this policy applies to most of the English-speaking countries. For example, New Zealand, Canada, USA, and UK. So make sure you don't want to have any negative immigration history, which you can impact not just for your future Australian visa and applications, but perhaps New Zealand, Canada, US, and UK visa applications. So these includes all the visa refusals and cancellations. Now, if you have gone through detail, if you're perhaps you have found a professional agent around or locally, they will always ask you whether you have any history, visa cancellation or visa refusal history. Now, you may choose to say no, but if the government found out, that's gonna be an even bigger and greater trouble. So let's summarize in this video. Now, obviously, visa refusal is not a pleasant topic to talk about, but the reason I'm recording this video and talked about this is just to avoid it. Don't do this. Now, if you have been going around, or your friend has been hearing information from some local agency promoting courses. I mean, promoting courses is good, but avoid those institutions provide very cheap course, or provide a course or program that can be paid in a lot of installment. Now, traditionally, 1 year has 2 semesters or maximum 3 semesters. You should pay per semester. So either 2 semesters per year, so you pay twice a year, or you pay once a year, or you pay 3 times a year. If you found a course or program being option for you, allow you to pay 5, 6, or 7 times a year. Now, that's a question mark. That's where you do certainly and seriously want to avoid that kind of courses or institutions options. Okay, and number 3, of course, picking a higher education is a much better success rate. I understand the course is gonna be cost more, but it actually shows your true intention to study abroad. Now, if you wanted to pick cheap courses, why not just stay where you at? Your countries. You don't need to travel. That's even cheaper. And those courses, and I'm pretty sure in this modern world in 2022, you can find your courses in the country where you at, rather than travel to Australia and study those courses. Correct? Right. And a lot of people ask at the end of this video, well, didn't Australia want more international students to come and study in the private education sector as well? Well, yes, that's the intention. But another thing is, through the general temporary entry requirement, they also want to avoid that private institution, because they are not fully controlled by the government. They're private, so of course they're not controlled. They want to avoid these private institution to utilize student visa as a way to attract people to come to Australia to work, which is against the actual intention of student visa program. And that's it. That's basically it. Anyway, should you have more question or query, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below, and I see you next video. Goodbye.